if you don't watch it from the beginning, you have no idea what's going on.
That's right.
So I'm kind of fun to have a show that you could just watch one episode and go, yep, I'm done.
Yeah, right. And it's really well done, and it looks great too.
Yeah, the CG, because the old Star Trek, I mean, let's face it.
Oh man, the kitchen utensils used for sensors,
yeah,
salt shakers for medical scanners.
They did the best they can, but
they could, yeah. No, this really looks great, and I just finished the second episode. There are 4 currently on Paramount Plus. They're adding one every Thursday, and I just got through the first 2, and the second one was just so sweet and wonderful, with music being a central element of the plot. So I was so happy about that.
It's kind of fun at the beginning. I'm waiting to see, are they going to do Space, the Final Frontier?
Yeah, they do.
And they did, sort of. I mean, the music's a little changed, but
the music's a little different. I mean, they borrow from the original Alexander Courage, which is cool.
Yeah.
Nurse Chapel is there. Uhura is there as a cadet. Spock, of course.
Lieutenant Kirk.
Yes, Sam Kirk.
It's his brother.
Father.
Or father. It's his father.
No, it's his brother. No, I think you're right.
Because it's not too distant of a prequel.
No, exactly.
Anyway, I don't.
It's wonderful.
Your segment isn't like what's new on TV. I mean, we could.
Well, true.
We could certainly do that, but
what I want.
It's good to talk about stuff that will show off your nice new TV.
Exactly. Yeah. And prehistoric. What is it called? Prehistoric Earth.
Prehistoric Planet. Yeah.
Planet. Yeah.
Quite good.
Very good. I'm looking forward to checking that out.
That was kind of interesting. They ran that Monday through Friday, new episode every day this week, and now you can watch all 5 of them. But it was interesting.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Well, what I wanted to talk about today was actually a really old problem that I'm amazed how many emails I get about this. People want to be able to do what you used to be able to do with an AV receiver, which is hook in an external equalizer.
Oh my. Remember that?
Remember these?
Yeah. Somebody would have a component stereo, your friend who was like an audiophile, and they would have a rack of things. And one of them would have these sliders.
Right.
And he said, don't touch that. That's exactly the right shape.
The way I want it.
That's how I want it.
Exactly. And what an equalizer does is it lets you contour or tweak the frequency profile of the sound. So you can boost certain frequencies and cut certain frequencies. And people used to do this all the time with these component stereo systems. You could hook in this separate box, this equalizer, into your stereo system, which would typically consist of a preamp and a power amp separately. These are called separates systems. And that was easy to do, but people want to do it with their AV receivers. And I'm amazed at how many emails I get on this, and how do I do that? Well, in the old days, a
couple of years ago,
Yeah, exactly. AV receivers had something called a tape loop, which was meant to connect a recording device like a cassette deck or a reel-to-reel recorder, and you could record anything that you had selected on your AV receiver.
For how much? For how long?
Oh, as long as your tape was...
Yeah, a minute?
Well, but I mean, these were available for quite some time.
If it's a loop, it starts over at some point, and you're going to... Right?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Oh, I misunderstood. Go ahead. Keep talking.
So
I'll shut up.
Basically, it takes whatever you've selected, like your record player or your CD player. It takes that analog signal, sends it out to the tape deck, and then brings it back in.
Yeah, the loop is like 30 seconds or something.
No, it's not. It doesn't have a time.
It has nothing to do with it.
It has nothing to do with time.
Oh, it's just going through a tape machine. Yeah, I used to do that.
Going through a tape machine and coming back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why would you do that?
Because you want to record.
You're monitoring as while you're recording. You're here. You want to listen to it and record it. Okay.
Correct. Now, instead of a tape machine, you could attach an EQ.
I get where you're going.
One of these EQ devices to that tape loop, which is no longer a tape loop. It's now an EQ loop.
Right.
And then you could tweak the frequencies that you wanted to tweak and get the sound the way you wanted it. Modern AV receivers don't have tape loops.
It's all in software.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't have tape loops? You couldn't, like...
No.
Oh, that's funny.
No, they don't.
Somebody must make a receiver with a...
They do. You can still get this
They might call it a pass-through, is what was a more modern term.
Well, right. And in some cases, in a few cases, you have what are called pre-outs. That is the preamp out from the receiver.
Yeah.
And in very rare cases, you have power amp inputs for all the channels. So that essentially forms a loop.
Right.
But the better solution, if you really want to do this, you're probably going to be listening to stereo music anyway, because these EQs are stereo. They're 2-channel typically.
Yeah.
And so you need to get a stereo receiver. And if you get most stereo receivers, of the few that there are still remaining, have this capability. The one that I found in doing some research for this was from a company called Outlaw Audio, which is an online sales company. They don't sell in stores, I don't think. It's all, you order
they're
online.
outlaws. You can't, yeah.
They're outlaws. Yeah, exactly. Right. Anyway, they have their RR2160 stereo receiver has an external processor in and out.
Nice.
Which lets you do exactly this. If you have an external EQ, and I'm amazed.
Apparently
how many
some people do.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
You can hook it up into this, and it works perfectly.
All 5 of you now have a solution. That is very old school. Scott Wilkinson, he's at youtube.com/AVS Forum. Watch his podcast and join him every week here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Zonk. I forgot I was going to mention my latest podcast is up with Joe Kane.
Oh, you got Joe back. I
got
love
Joe back, and
he's
man,
awesome.
he's great. Yeah. He is so smart and so knowledgeable. And we just did it last Tuesday, and it's up there now, youtube.com/AVS Forum. So go check it out.
All right, I'm going right now.
I'll remind you this again, but June 12th, I will not be here. I will be in Cleveland, Ohio, attending the wedding of Joanna's nephew.
Nice. June 12th. All right, we'll make a note of that.
Yeah, but I'll remind you again when the time comes. In fact, that Saturday, we will be celebrating the wedding of David and Faith with a lot of Joanna's family there, which I hardly ever get to see because they're all on the East Coast. Anyway, hello, everybody. So nice to see you all. Hey, UJ, thank you. Just watched the show with Joe Kane. Looking forward to part 2. That's going to come up later. We'll have a few other people on before that, but Joe's got so much to say. In fact, he and I went over what we were going to talk about a day or two before the show, and then at the show we ended up not talking about any of that stuff because he had so much else to say. So it's going to be a lot of fun there. Let's see. Gumby says, I have a nice Technics SL1200 M3D turntable. Very nice. Nothing else. Want to listen to my vinyl? I would too if I had a turntable like that. I would also like to be able to listen to AM, FM, and stream Bluetooth audio, plug in a USB drive with MP3s and blah, blah, blah. Got any ideas? Well, I think this Outlaw Audio stereo, you probably want a stereo receiver. Sounds like what you really want to do is listen to music. And so I would recommend a stereo receiver. And the Outlaw, it's the RR2160 Mark II is the current version. Let me just, I had it pulled up. Yeah, 2160 Mark II, RR2160 Mark II. They call it a stereo retro receiver. Now, the only question is, does it have Bluetooth and USB? Let me just take a quick look at the back panel here. There's the front panel. I'm looking at the manual here. It's got Ethernet. It does have a USB port. Oh, USB play and upgrader. Oh, that's interesting. So they'll upgrade the firmware with USB, but it looks like you can also play USB. Does it have Bluetooth? Let me look for Bluetooth. Mike Heiss would know this. If Mike, if you're in the chat room, yep, it's got Bluetooth. It says adapter or dongle, satellite. Okay. It might not have Bluetooth built in. I'm not 100% sure about that. Mike, are you in the chat room? Let me see if Mike's in the chat room. He would know for sure. Yes, Mike is in the chat room. So, Mike, if you're listening, does the Outlaw RR 2160 have Bluetooth? Anyway, I would recommend that. It's not cheap. It's like almost $1,000. So, sorry. Thank you, Loquacious. I hope to have a good trip too.
All right, Scott, stick around for the top.
You betcha.
Thank you. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Wealthfront. Playing the stock market, day trading, the thrill of risking it all, like casino, gambling, and street food, is best enjoyed in moderation. If you want to build your wealth, there is a smart way to do it. A place like Wealthfront is the right way to build your wealth long term. Wealthfront, in fact, has a lot of data that shows that the time in market almost always beats timing the market. And I've been trying to explain this to my kids. You know, when you're young, you think, oh, I could buy some Dogecoin. Now look at all these people making money. Here's the problem. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. And it's unknown. When do you buy a stock? When do you sell a stock? Well, if you're smart or lucky, more like, you buy it when it's low and you sell it when it's high. But it feels to me pretty random. The market's ups and downs, and boy, do they go up and down. So timing the market almost always is never as good, in my opinion, as having time in the market, buying and holding. And that's what Wealthfront's about. It's, in short, Wealthfront is going to build you a globally diversified portfolio. 3 important words: globally diversified portfolio. It's not one stock. It's a basket of stocks, global, not just U.S., that lets you automatically optimize to hit the goals you set. You say, am I saving for a house, college, retirement? You have the time frame. You tell them how risk tolerant you are, and they'll put it all together for you. And they'll include things. Well, for instance, they invented the software that does tax loss harvesting, which means when the market's down, you save money on your taxes. So it offsets that a little bit. There's some new stuff with Wealthfront that I think is great, because people say, well, I want to have some say. So you can personalize your portfolio with a selection of funds, but they're all picked by Wealthfront's financial experts. So you can include, my daughter loves this, social responsibility funds, clean energy funds. Yeah, she wants to scratch that crypto itch. They have cryptocurrency. They have cannabis. They have a variety of funds. If you feel like, I want to invest in that a little bit, you can tailor it. It has done so well for so many people. They are now trusted with $27 billion in assets. 500,000 people have used Wealthfront to build their wealth. Investopedia even named them the best robo-advisor for 2022. And we're not even halfway through the year yet. So, very simple to start building your wealth. And by the way, we arranged this so that, you can try it. We got your first $5,000 managed free for life, okay? Wealthfront.com/tech guy. So it's a way you could just dip your toe in if you want to try it. WEALTH, wealth, that's what you're building, front, because they're in the front of the line. Wealthfront.com/tech guy. Start building your wealth. It's the right thing to do. Wealthfront.com/tech guy. Get started today. You'll love the app too, by the way. If you like apps, it's a great thing to look at. Wealthfront. Thank you, Wealthfront, for supporting the Tech Guy Show. I bless the rains down in Africa. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That is a very distinctive song opener. That and Tainted Love. 2 songs you could probably name in one note, right? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number on the line. Not sure. Let's see. It's Jerry from La Mirada, California. Hi, Jerry.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I have a problem with my Samsung system. I got their own voice bar,
Okay.
and it seems like all late model movies I'm hearing them in lip reading.
You don't hear the voice at all.
No, I can hear it, but I just have to guess. If it's an older movie, I know what it's about. But if any movies, like I watched a movie that they made 1939, I almost had to turn down the sound.
Yeah.
I'm definitely hard of hearing, but it was so much better. And then regular programs on the television, I can hear it perfect.
Yeah.
It may be loud for somebody else, but when it comes to all these movies, is it their fault or something in my system?
It's a little bit of both. What movie were you watching from 1939?
It was a Wallace Berry movie about a sub.
I love Wallace Berry.
Well, this time, this movie, he should have died and it would have been a better movie.
Oh, well, you know.
Because he became the hero in the most fantastic way you ever...
Well, you know, that's one thing. Movies may be a little more realistic than they were in the 30s. I don't know. I subscribe to the Criterion channel because they have such great old movies. And, of course, there's Turner Classic. I love those old movies. But you're right. The sound is very different. Those old movies weren't even stereo. They were mono.
Yeah.
So they had one channel. Everything was in one channel. And so when they mix it, they still had to mix it, you know. They record the music separately. They record the voices separately. They might have a Foley artist doing background. So they have multiple channels, but they mix it all down into one channel. And when they're mixing it, there's a person listening to one speaker who turns up the voice, turns down the footsteps, turns the music up and down, make sure you can hear the voice. Because dialogue's probably the most important part of all of that stuff in the mix. And they're mixing it for one channel. Now, modern movies are mixed for multiple channels. Scott, how many, typically, what is a Dolby, if you're watching a modern movie, it's what, 7, 8, 9 channels? Is it?
Well, 5.1 is...
At least 6. A subwoofer.
At least 6.
Left and
5
right.
main channels.
Subwoofer, left sound, right sound, that's stereo. There's
right.
this is what's important for you, Jerry. There's a center channel. That's where the dialogue, the voices are going.
Yeah.
Yep.
They may also have surrounds.
Almost always have two surround, at least 2
Yeah,
surround.
those are at your right about where your ears are.
But then another seems to be a problem. The voices don't match the lips.
Okay, well that's another problem. That's a separate problem.
That's a separate problem.
We'll solve the voice problem first, which is, and most TVs or sound systems will, and probably your sound bar, your Samsung sound bar, there'll be a setting in there to boost the center channel. So for you, and you know, I'm a little hard of hearing too, so Lisa always yelling at me when I'm listening because I'll listen pretty loud on my TV and I'll turn it down. But this doesn't turn up all the sounds. If you were watching a Wallace Beery movie, it would, because there's one channel. But on modern movies where there's a separate channel for the voice, you want to turn up, it's called the center channel, and you want to boost that. And you might boost it, depends on how you're hearing, 1 or 2 or 3 or more dB. You'll still hear the background noise, but the voice will be louder. That's nice because other people in the house won't say, hey, what are you listening to that so loud for?
But why do you have to have it be an electrician or genius in this electronics just to buy a TV and you turn it on and...
I know. Because it's not 1939, Jerry.
Whatever they accomplish, make it more sense that you have to buy listening to it.
We live in you probably noticed this, we kind of live in a world of, I don't want to say a bad word, but we kind of live in a world where there's a lot of junk, shall we say.
But
it's all junked up.
You was talking to some guy about music. He listens to it. Now, if you want beautiful music, you buy a Gerard record changer and you buy a Harman Kardon receipt setup, and you get lists of beautiful music.
And now we're in 1979. So good job.
Right.
We've 40 years later. So unfortunately, you don't have. If you're going to do a sound bar, this is a very, that thing's a computer. It's all sorts of stuff going on in there. There will be a setting on there. Sometimes they call it voice clarity. Same thing. There will be a setting to improve the center channel for you. So that's the first thing you're going to do. Now, lip sync, that's a whole other problem. And that's actually kind of complicated. The TV, though, will look in your TV menu, and there'll be a setting. One thing that's also a problem in this modern day and age of yonk, is nobody calls anything the same.
That's
so
right.
it's the center channel, but no, we can't call it that. Marketing says it's voice clarity. And I want to improve. I want to fix the lip sync. Oh no, marketing says we can't call it that. So they make up some name that I don't know what it is because it's different for every manufacturer. I don't know what is
audio video delay,
or But the reason that happens, we've talked about this before. It's very common now, is that it takes you more time to. Everything's compressed when it gets to you. They have to decompress it to show it. It takes you much more time to decompress video than audio. So audio is always there sooner. So what you're really going to be doing is slowing down the audio, and sometimes it's by seconds. Usually it's by frames. You just nudge
milliseconds.
Yeah. But you just nudge it until you get to the match. Here's the other problem. There's no one setting, so that Wallace Beery movie's probably going to be perfect no matter what. And so if you nudge it over to the left, now suddenly Wallace Beery's behind. So
while other things are in sync.
Yeah. So it's really annoying.
Yeah, it really is. I agree.
Yeah, and I get this call a lot. And Jerry, I'm sorry. I love any sub movie. What's your favorite sub movie, Jerry?
Well, I don't know.
I like Hunt for Red October.
I watched Casino.
Casino's a great movie. That's a modern movie.
Yeah.
Do you like Hunt for Red October? Because to me, that's the best one.
But I can hear that one. I can hear everything else on TV.
Yeah, it's the more modern stuff is what it is.
Well, I don't know how modern some of these movies are because I don't go to movies much. But
so there was an article at /film.com, and I'll put a link in the show notes to this, explaining the many reasons this happens. And some of it is what we just described, which is this issue of it's mixed for a movie theater with many, many speakers. But some of it also is the fault of the movie maker. The person who's in charge of recording the dialogue, the sound recordist, is not often the high person on the totem pole. So a lot of directors, Robert Altman started this trend. Many directors want the audio to sound more natural. So when people mumble, a lot of actors want to be naturalistic. They mumble. This is the sound recorder's job to say, oh, wait, hold on. We couldn't hear him in that take. And then the director should say, oh, yeah, we better. No, all the director says, we'll fix it in post. Moving on. And so it's up to then the people at the end of the chain to say, well, how are we going to get this voice out of here? Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the director says, you will not fix this. Robert Altman started this trend with McCabe and Mrs. Miller. You want to watch, Jerry, a great movie that you cannot understand the dialogue. MASH, he did MASH as well. That was very famous. Radar O'Reilly talking under his voice while Hawkeye's saying something, and there's 14 different voice channels going on at once, and it's because they wanted to sound like real life. But
Christopher Nolan's that way too.
Nolan is the latest offender.
Yeah,
all of his stuff is that way. So Jerry, you're not alone. I'm sorry. Run silent, run deep. That's good.
No.
Got to vote for Operation Petticoat. Okay, no. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. No, not gonna do that one. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's the return of Scott Wilkinson.
Woohoo! I was trying to think of that U-boat movie.
Das Boot. That's an amazing movie. But really, I'm sorry, I'm going to say Hunt for Red October. Because
Hunt for Red October is a great
Sean Connery going, when Cortez arrived in the New World, he burned his boats. It's a really a great movie.
Yeah,
Ice Station Zebra was pretty good. There are a lot of good. Submarines make good movies. You know why? The sets are cheap.
The sets are cheap. You only need one set.
They're cheap. All right, all yours.
Okay, thank you. Now, Twisted Mister made a point earlier that I wanted to bring up and make sure that everybody understood. Tape loop, in the old days, tape loop was before the volume control. But the pre-out main in loop is typically after the volume control. So you could really blow up the amplifier if you weren't careful. So that is a very good point. I'm pretty sure. Mike Heiss, are you listening? I think the Outlaw. I would hope that the Outlaw external processor loop is before the volume control. Titus, am I bringing a tuba to the wedding? No, sadly not. We are flying, and it's very difficult to fly with a tuba. I could bring an alto horn. That's a very small tuba. But no, I'm just going as an observer, as a member of those who will witness the blessed event. Archandra, yes, it's the RR2160 Mark II, I believe, is the current incarnation. But Dr. Mom, Grandma, no, I'm not going to play the hora on the tuba for the wedding couple, sadly. I wish I could.
Okay,
I would love to be able to do that. I don't believe the wedding is going to be a Jewish wedding. It might, in fact, be a Druid wedding. That'll be interesting. I'm not sure. But I do know that the nephew is into some sort of paganistic things. So that could be, I think that's going to be really cool. Thank you, Graveyard Tuba. I'm really glad to be back in the podcast biz as well. Absolutely. So let's see here. Who else have we got? Doug M says, are there room mics that could auto-adjust sync with video? Like the AVR balance mics. It's all numbers. Well, that's true. I'm not sure Oh, I see what you mean. In the auto calibration, I wonder if how could they do auto sync? That's a very good question. Somehow the system would have to be aware of a video impulse, a video like a flash of light that's coincident with a click. And
you have time code. I mean, you could make sure that the audio and video time code coincided.
Well, that's true, but does the AV receiver
No,
generate
it doesn't see the time code. It doesn't see it.
Yeah. See,
so you'd have to send it down the line.
Yeah, exactly. I think Archandra's asking about, could you, during the auto calibration process, the room calibration process, like Odyssey or Dirac, or MCACC for Pioneer, could they automatically set the delay? It's a pretty good question. What you mentioned before, though, is also correct. It's not going to be consistent from one program to another necessarily. So that's a problem as well. Let's see. Twisted Mister, did I see the HD TV test video on YouTube? RE QD OLED. Samsung is pulling a Dieselgate, detecting 5%, 10%, 15%, etc. on displaying perfect color tracking. At 9, 11, 14, and 16, it blows out the colors. What? I haven't seen that video, but you have piqued my curiosity, no question about it. I do know that there has been a lot of online chatter in regards to QD OLED about the unorthodox subpixel structure. So instead of having red, green, and blue subpixels right next to each other, they're forming a little triangle. And some people claim that this causes color fringing on sharp borders between colors sometimes. Most of the people that I trust that have seen it have said, I don't really see it, at least not on regular material. You might see it on a test pattern. But this one I had not heard of. Samsung is pulling a Dieselgate, indeed. Detecting 5, 10, and 50. Well, you know what, Twisted Mister, I'm going to have to look into that because that's a very interesting question. Blowing out the colors at certain percentages, but not others? That's very strange. The Sue the Writer, yes. When I get back, I will let you know if it is in fact a Druid wedding. Doug M, time code with delay numbers from the mic. Well, but without the system being aware of the video and the delay or the delta between the video image and the corresponding audio signal, there's nothing you can do. Web 7350, how's the new soundbar doing? Well, I haven't gotten it yet. Vizio has said they would send me one, and I haven't gotten it yet. I'm getting a little teed off about that. Twisted Mister, it was posted a few days ago. Color tracking goes completely off the rails once it detects it's not being tested. What? How can it detect it's not being tested? I don't get that. I guess it doesn't know that tests are at 5, 10, 15, 20%, and so if it's not 5, 10, or 15 or 20% or whatever, then it goes off the rails. That seems so weird. I will definitely look into that. Thanks for letting me know that it's on YouTube and it was posted a few days ago. I will definitely check that out. Art Chandra, anything with a processing loop that's a little more budget friendly? Yeah, the Outlaw is very good, but it $1,000. Yeah, exactly. Just look at other stereo receivers. Yamaha makes them. I'm pretty sure they're less expensive. In fact, I was looking at, what was I looking at? Yamaha. It's called the RX 397. There's a 497 and a 797. So look at other stereo receivers, and they would be more likely to have a tape loop or an effects processor loop, although I think Outlaw may be the only one that does that. It calls it that anyway. Loquacious, yes, I will certainly take some photos there at the wedding. That will be a lot of fun. Let's see. Master says the frequent use of ADR, automatic dialogue replacement, will prevent actual good lip sync. Well, that is true. It's very hard to actually get automatic dialogue replacement, is also called looping, interestingly. It's where the actor goes into the studio after the shot, watches the video, and replaces their dialogue in the studio after the fact, and they try to match up their lips with what they actually said on set when they were shot with video. They try to match it up perfectly, but that's really hard to do. I think we're probably getting to the point here. We're about to start. Oh, there's another possible question on the line for me, says Kim. I'll stick around.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Show notes are at techguylabs.com. I'll put the link to the article, good article, I thought, on slashfilm.com. Here's why movie dialogue has gotten more difficult to understand, and it's a bunch of reasons, and 3 things you can do to make it better. It's the acting, it's the director, sound isn't respected on sets, there's a technology issue, there's a few good reasons. It's mixed for cinemas or streaming, and there's lots of things that can go wrong, obviously. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Back to the phones we go. On the line, Marilyn in Los Angeles. I think Scott is stuck around because, Marilyn, you want to know about sound bars.
Yeah, I have the last Samsung plasma TV, and
Now, wait a minute. I have to excuse me.